you saw, the party started hours ago in downtown St. Louis. It's a holiday. It's opening day here in one of baseball's great cities. Now, we take you inside for opening day on ESPN, presented by the Home Depot. It's Busch Stadium, and it's the Cardinals hosting the Colorado Rockies. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller, and welcome to Tony Gwynn, 19 years in the big leagues, on his way to the Hall of Fame, and now with us at ESPN. Welcome, Tony.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Now, 19 opening days for Tony Gwynn over the years, so for you, I guess opening day was no big deal. Now, for us, it's very exciting. Was it exciting for you?
It's exciting, but I was a guy who liked the next day. Because, you know, you have the suits, the pomp, the circumstance going on out there. To me, I always liked the next day, because the next day I felt like when you found out who are your fans.
All right, so some of the guys we're seeing out there today may not be quite normal because they got some of those that adrenaline rush going on as well. Now, we always thought you were going to be the next guy to hit 400. It hadn't happened since 1941 when Ted Williams did it. But the Colorado Rockies have a couple of guys I know you think might do it. Larry Walker, Todd Helton. What do you think? Is this the year?
No question. I think every year those two guys are capable of hitting 400. They hit for average. They hit for power. They drive in runs. Both are great defenders. I mean, you can't ask for much more from two players.
All right. So if they're going to hit 400, it's going to have to start today. They can't have too many offers.
That's true. It's one of those things that if you get off to a good start, it builds. And I think playing in the ballpark that they play in, no question, helps them too.
All right, now the St. Louis Cardinals have some hitters as well. Tony, you haven't forgotten anything about hitting yet, have you?
No, I haven't. J.D. Drew is a young player that I really like. I felt like he was coming into his own last year before an injury, but the first half of the season, he put all-star numbers up on the board. The second guy, the National League Rookie of the Year, Albert Pujols. He did everything that you could do. He hit homers, he drove in runs, he hit for an average. Now he's going to be playing left field all the time, so both of those guys we should look out for, because I think they're both just starting out and having good years.
All right, now it's not all about hitting. There are a lot of great hitters in this ball game today, but Mike Hampton trying to put last year behind him. He'll be in the mound, and he's been tough on the Cardinals in the past. And Matt Morris going for the Cardinals, a 22-game winner last year, including 15-2 in this ballpark. He just had a monster year, and now he gets the opening day start. And his pitching coach, Dave Duncan, told us what made him so tough last year.
Last year, he really had that as an objective, to go out there and be able to use his curveball and his changeup and blend that in with that great fastball of his, and try to be everything that he's physically capable of being as a pitcher. And he took the first step last year in doing that.
And there's Buddy Bell. He's hoping that Helton and Walker and his Colorado Rockies will somehow figure out Matt Morris. But with these two starting pitchers, at least on paper, it doesn't figure to be a hitter's day here at Busch Stadium. Buddy Bell has turned in this lineup card. And let's take a look at it now. It will be Juan Pierre, who's a young guy, and you'll be hearing his name a lot over the years, I think, because he's become one of the top leadoff men already in the National League. Jose Uribe, and then the big guys, Larry Walker, a batting champion again last year, 3 times in the last 4 years, and then Todd Helton hitting cleanup. And those are the big guys.
No question. This is an offensive lineup. I mean, they're going to be able to put some runs on the board. I think Pierre is really the guy that sets it all up for him. He's started out last year as a 4th outfielder, and when Hollandsworth hurt his calf, he got an opportunity to play, and what a season he had. I mean, 327, 200 hits. But he's the guy that sets the table for this potent lineup.
All right, and they'll be facing this man, Matt Morris, 22 wins last year. He also, of course, we remember the postseason last year for Curt Schilling and Randy Johnson, and why not? They won it all. And those were the 2 big reasons. But what isn't remembered perhaps quite as well is how well Morris pitched against Arizona in the division series. 2 great games and didn't win either one of them. But there you see his numbers last year.
Big power right-hander. Fastball, curveball change. The trick today, I think, for him, if he's up in the strike zone with his fastball, the Colorado hitters are going to have to be patient getting down in the zone. Usually when he's throwing a breaking ball for a strike, this guy is going to be one of the toughest guys to hit.
All right, so here we go. The 2002 season about to begin for the Cardinals and the Rockies. Juan Pierre stands in. Morris with the low fastball, peeled foul off to the left. Pierre's a good leadoff man. He steals lots of bases, and he gets on base a lot, but not often walking. I mean, he's up there to hack.
Yeah, he's a hacker. He's going to get his swing in, and he's trying to learn a little bit more patience.
Right back to Morris, and there's one away. Cardinals defensively, and one thing to make note of, Placido Polanco, whom they had talked about as being the left fielder this year, is back at third base, and Albert Pujols is in left field. And that is a base hit for Juan Uribe, one of the young Rockies. They've got a young double play combination we'll be talking about. Uribe at short and Ortiz at second. So Uribe is already on base.
And these guys, they're not wasting any time either. They're coming out of the chute swinging. And there's a fastball, middle of the plate. Nice swing. Hits the ball to right field. Base hit.
Uribe had 11 triples last year in the big leagues and only played 72 games. So there he is at first. And that combination of Pierre and Uribe, they could be on base all the time for Walker and Helton. Here is Larry Walker, a .350 average last year, 3 batting championships in the last 4 years. He was a little more durable last year as well. He played in 142 games. You see 38 homers, 123 RBIs. These are the guys, I guess, if you're facing the Rockies, you don't want them to be the ones who beat you.
Exactly.
2 balls, no strikes. So Morris, and he may be battling a few jitters out there.
Yeah, you know, opening day, that's what happens a lot of times for pitchers and hitters, where you want to get off to a good start. You want to, you know, get a couple of hits. You want to get a couple of strikeouts.
This could be 2. Renteria to second, 1. VINA to first. 2. Double play, and the side is retired. Now the Cardinals are coming up against Mike Hampton. No score. Tony La Russa, his 24th consecutive season as a big league manager, which is the 4th longest streak of its kind for any big league manager in the history of the game. And here's the lineup that he has turned in. It'll be Fernando VINA, very fine leadoff man, the igniter for the Cardinals up at the top, then Polanco, then the power, and there's a lot of it. Drew, Pujols, and Edmonds in particular. They got so much power. Tino Martinez is hitting 7th.
No, 37 homers, and he goes to the 7th spot in this lineup. But good offensive ball club. A little firepower at the top where they can get on, steal some bases, make some things happen. You know, Drew, Pujols, Martinez, Edmonds are all capable of hitting the ball out of the ballpark. And the thing I like about the Cardinals lefties, they hit left-handed pitchers. And so today with Hampton, you know, they got to get on the P's and Q's right off the bat because Hampton throws a lot of strikes.
Yeah, that's important too for the Cardinals because I mean here's a tough lefty going. They got 4 lefties in the lineup.
Absolutely.
And those lefties are going to be in there every day.
Yeah.
Mike Hampton. Now it started out extremely well. He looked like a dream come true for Rockies fans early last year, starting off with taking a shutout into the 9th inning against the Cardinals on opening day. And he was 9-2, an ERA below 3 as late as June the 10th. Only one pitcher in the league had more wins at that time, and that was Curt Schilling. But then it all came unraveled for Hampton. He's trying to find it again. Fernando VINA fouls one back into the big crowd. A sea of red, as is the custom here in St. Louis, especially on opening day. You see the sellout crowd. They've been here for a long time. They had pregame ceremonies that started, what, 45 minutes ago. Fernando VINA hit .303 last year. Hit softly to short. The play nicely done by Uribe. Colorado behind Hampton, and he doesn't figure to strike out a lot of guys. He needs a strong defense.
Exactly. This is the thing that is pretty unique, I think, about an opening day lineup like this is the fact that Bennett, Uribe, Ortiz, and Pierre, you have a young battery, you know, and that when managers build their ball clubs, they like to be solid. And I think it says something that the Rockies are going to start the season basically with 4 young guys in the middle of their diamond. Here
now is Placido Polanco, and he takes a called strike. He's Just a kind of a line drive hitter, doesn't hit for power. Mike Hampton finished up 14 and 13 last year. You see Polanco's numbers from last year. Got on base a lot.
Yes, he did.
Didn't drive in too many people.
Well, in this lineup, his job is to get them.
1 ball, 1 strike. After him, then the power. J.D. Drew is on deck. Now, Hampton had the poor second half. After June the 10th last year, he was 5-11, and his ERA was over 7. Now, that's a long time for a guy of his quality to pitch that poorly. That is a base hit in the right field. Here's a throw to first base by Walker, but Polanco hustled it out. And had he not, he wouldn't have gotten himself that base hit.
I think when he hit that ball, he realized who was in right field. And he came out and shoot running. And Larry Walker likes to play hitters like Polanco who don't drive the ball over his head very often. He likes to play him shallow and take a shot at maybe throwing him out at first base. And as you can see, when he looked up and saw Walker was fielding the ball, he took off and beat the play.
Now J.D. Drew. Drew put up big numbers last year for the amount of time that he played. Now the question will be he be able to stay healthy all year long? He swings and fouls this one away. J.D. Drew, 28 homers last year, and he only played in 109 games.
He had gotten off to a great start for them, and you know he just looked like he belonged. You know he's only been in the big leagues for a few years here, but last year he got off to a great start. I think the telltale sign with him is the fact that he handled left-handers a whole lot better than he did earlier.
That's back out of play. 0-2 the count. Now when you're facing Hampton, I mean, what are you expecting up there from Hampton?
Well, one of the interesting things that I found in facing Hampton is the fact that for a left-handed pitcher to pitch from the left side of the rubber, for a left-handed hitter, that gives you a good look at the ball. When he lets it go, I used to call it, he put it right in front of your face. And Hampton's all the way over on the third base side of the rubber, so you only had to really be cognizant.
Ooh, the high hard one.
Of the ball inside.
Drew is gone. Yeah, he works off the extreme third base side of the slab.
Just a little long here, I would say. But you know, that's what Hampton does to you, though. You get a good look at the ball. He can run the fastball in. He's got a good slider, a great changeup. He tries to change the plane that the ball is on. And that's one of the things that he likes to do. He'll throw you slider away, changeup away, and then throw you the good high hard one. And if you're not on time, you're gonna look like JD did on that swing a little bit late.
Hampton again off the third base side of the slab, and that is right to the second baseman. Ortiz throws him out, and Albert Pujols is gone on one pitch. He hit it hard, but right at Ortiz. Todd Helton coming up. No score after 1 inning. Opening day in St. Louis. Here's Todd Helton, and a big curveball from Matt Morris that missed for ball 1. Helton, the cleanup hitter, and Todd ZEILE and Todd Hollandsworth for the Colorado Rockies. Helton is a guy that Tony Gwynn thinks could hit 400 if everything goes just right for him this year. Now in the dirt from Morris, and the count is 3-0. The year before last, he had us all thinking 400 for a while.
Yeah, he did, and him and Walker both, they're that type of hitter to hit everybody. They hit everybody, righties, left-handers. They hit on the road. They hit at home. They hit with power. Both of them have gone through that. And as you can see, 372 in 2000.
That's deep down the right field line, hooking into the corner. It is foul. Man, that got out there in a hurry. Todd Helton hit only 336 last year.
Only, yeah.
That's how good he's been already in his career. That curveball kept him on the ground, and VINA throws him out. One away, and here's an update now with Brian Kenny.
Well, John, sometimes the season opens up just beautifully for you. Twins and Royals, Jock Jones, second pitch he sees. He puts out opposite field. over the drink. Everybody in the pool. That's a long way out. That's off Jeff Suppan, who 2 years ago led the league in gopher balls. He gave up 36 home runs. He gave up 2 here in the first inning. That's David Ortiz. It's 2-0.
Man, the Twins. I mean, we thought they were going to be good, but Jacques Jones, I can't believe he could hit one that deep into the fountains to that part of the ballpark. As we look at Todd ZEILE here, count of 2-0. I mean, I read something about that he worked with some new hitting instructor in the offseason. It must have really paid off.
Yeah.
Who did he work with again?
That was me. And
so you worked with Jacques Jones?
Yeah, Jacques Jones and Tabor Lee, or Tabor, that's his brother, Travis Lee. Both of them are San Diego guys that live in San Diego during the winter, and they came out every day.
ZEILE hits the ground ball to Renteria, and that is out number 2. 2 men gone in St. Louis. Beautiful day for an opener. Temperatures in the low 60s. I'm John Miller with Tony Gwynn. Tony, one of the great hitters in the history of Major League Baseball. So 2 of the guys that sought you out for some instruction this winter have both gone deep on opening day.
Yeah, you feel like a proud papa, you know. You work with them, you give them information, and you hope that they can run with it.
Travis Lee homered earlier today on ESPN in the ball game in Atlanta against Tom Glavine, no less.
Yeah.
Jacques Jones right away starts off the season with a home run in Kansas City for the Twins. Here's Todd Hollandsworth. He was a revelation to baseball fans, not just in Colorado, but maybe in LA too. He used to play for the Dodgers, but then he got hurt last year and had to shut it down the rest of the year. Man, that was the big hammer right there
big
for Morris.
Hammer. When he's throwing that for a strike, he is really tough to hit.
2 strikes to Hollandsworth, 2 down, nobody on. The Rockies facing one of the premier pitchers in the league. Although a year ago at this time, Morris was just hoping to resurrect his big league career.
Exactly.
And another curveball puts him away. Wow. Filthy.
Looks like he's resurrected it okay.
We're going to the last of the second inning. Jim Edmonds, Edgar Renteria, then Tino. No score. Opening day from St. Louis. The Rockies nothing. The Cardinals nothing. Last of the second. More baseball still to come later on tonight on ESPN2. The Rangers, Alex Rodriguez, Rafael Palmeiro, and a whole new cast taking on the Oakland Athletics. Mark Mulder, the 21-game winner, will get the start for the Athletics as they start life post Jason Giambi. My colleague Joe Morgan will be part of the crew there tonight at the Oakland Coliseum. Should be a huge crowd. Oakland had quite a season last year, and the Texas Rangers are hopeful of becoming a player this year with Oakland and Seattle, the powers in the West. Jim Edmonds against Mike Hampton, and that's too low. 2-0 the count. Edmonds, then Renteria, and then Tino Martinez, the former Yankee. Jim Edmonds has been a pretty steady presence since arriving here in St. Louis. Two of his best seasons ever as a big leaguer since he got here.
Yeah, no question. I don't know what it is about this town. It's just a great baseball town.
Guys like to play here.
Yeah, exactly. They love to play here. I think the fans get them involved in the game, let them know that they're pulling for them. And look at those numbers for the last 2 years. 72 homers in what was considered a tough park to hit homers in.
Along the left field line, shallow, a long run, and no. Hollandsworth not quite, and it bounces out of play. An automatic double, and that is a bit of good fortune for the Rockies because Edmonds might still be running otherwise.
Yeah. Hollandsworth had a long way to go on that ball, and he gave it a great effort. He just came up just a little bit short.
And Edmonds wasn't supposed to be hitting one right along the line. Hollandsworth was playing in the pole. Now look how much room was down that left field line. Uribe was chasing it, but the ball bounced up in amongst the spectators. So a double for Edmonds. I guess that's why Edmonds hits 300 every year. He doesn't just pull the ball.
No, he doesn't. And sometimes you're fooled by the type of swing that he takes. But he's a guy that hits the ball all over the place. And in this lineup, in this ballpark, that's what they need him to do.
Edgar Renteria. And that's a foul out of play. Now they'd like to see Renteria get that batting average back up a little bit.
Well, he's had a good spring this year. And coming up in this situation, you got a man on second. You can tell he's trying to drive that ball to the right side. He's trying to get the job done. But that's his stroke. He hits the ball to right field.
José Oquendo, the third base coach. And that's his job right now, right?
Exactly.
He's got to get the guy to third. And he's, most of the time, I remember him always being a number 2 hitter.
Well, you see, he's got a closed stance. And he knows Hampton's going to bury him inside, try to pitch him inside. But his natural stroke is working his hands inside that ball. So this is a good opportunity for him. If he can get a ball up in the zone and out over the plate, he might hit a base hit to right field and give the Cardinals their first scoring opportunity.
Tino Martinez. When last we saw him, it was November, and the World Series was going on. He's on deck. Hampton's checking the runner at second. Again, that cutter inside. 2-1 the count to Renteria, and then he looks over. There's Tino awaiting his turn in the on-deck circle. He had a very poor spring.
Did he really? That's he's just one guy that just for whatever reason always seemed to get overlooked in New York, and he's just been a solid player for a long time.
Well, there it is to right center on the run. Pierre, he makes the diving catch. Edmonds back to tag, heading for third, and he'll make it. For a moment, he started to go halfway, and then he bought into the notion that Pierre was going to catch it. He went back to tag up, and he made it to third.
That's a tough play for Edmonds, because the ball coming off the bat looks like it's going to fall in, and he goes back to tag, and Pierre makes a great play. But here's Edmonds. He's trying to read it. He sees Pierre makes the play. He goes back to second to tag, and he realizes it's going to be a tough play. It's going to be a close play, so he better go ahead first and get in there. But great play by Pierre, good base running by Edmonds, and now St. Louis fans are welcoming Tino.
Tino Martinez introduced, and the fans giving him a standing ovation. And now they're chanting his name. The infield is in. And that's ball one. Tino Martinez, Rockies last year. He is replacing Mark McGwire in Big Mac's house here in St. Louis, and yet the fans have made an extra effort to make him feel welcome, just as they did for McGwire not so long ago.
Absolutely.
Edmonds at third. The infield is in. No score, second inning. And the count is 2-0. A right-handed hitter, DIFELICE, is on deck. Now, Tino Martinez, that's a tough order to replace a living legend, Mark McGwire, but when he got into New York, he had to replace Don Mattingly.
Absolutely. So he's used to it. He's used to the fanfare. But he's going to be himself. He's going to play his game.
And he certainly comes in with the credentials. He's a great run producer in all his years in New York. 3-0 the count to Tino Martinez. Jason Giambi replaces him in New York. There's Edmonds at third. The Rockies play the infield in already in only the second inning. That's a strike. 3-1 now to Tino. Now, does that surprise you that Buddy Bell will play the infield in this early?
I think at this point of the game it doesn't, because Martinez is hitting in the 7th spot. If he loses him, you've got the 8 and the 9 hitter coming up, and so even if he walks Martinez here, still sets up the double play with a right-hand hitter. Hampton's a ground ball pitcher.
It almost looked like he was pitching around.
They sure did.
So Martinez, even though a lefty, the proven run producer, he gets the walk, and that will bring up the right-handed hitting DIFELICE, but nowhere near the quality hitter, at least proven quality hitter, as Tino Martinez.
Absolutely. Martinez has done it year in, year out. He's driven in the big runs. And this is a situation where you got a crafty guy on the hill, and his best pitch when he's throwing strikes, he gets his changeup over, he gets the sinker over the plate. Guys beat that ball on the ground, and they can maybe get a double play and get out of this inning.
So there's Tino at first. Todd Helton. I wonder if Todd's telling him about how much he's going to enjoy hitting in Coors Field when he gets there. Here's Mike DIFELICE. Did not do much hitting last year. They have 3 catchers on the roster right now. including Mike Matheny, who did a great job handling the staff, throwing out base stealers, things like that, but did not do much hitting last year. And they also have Eli Marrero. So DIFELICE gets the opening day call. There's Matheny. The infield is in double play position now. And that's in the dirt. Nice save by Bennett, the catcher. 1 ball and no strikes.
It's a nice block by Bennett behind the plate. And Hampton's thrown some pitches in the dirt here early. This is not a situation where where you'd like to see a wild pitch. And Bennett stayed down there nice and kept the ball in front of him, kept the double play in order. But Hampton just doesn't look like himself yet. He's really had a lot of trouble with his control today.
Tried the breaking ball, missed badly, down and in with that. 2-0 the count. And the throw goes over his head from Bennett, but backed up by the second baseman Ortiz. Now that's one you don't see very often. ZEILE over at third, talking to Jim Edmonds.
Didn't look like it went that high over his glove. I wonder if Hampton's feeling all right today.
That is into left field, and that is a base hit. Edmonds comes in to score. DIFELICE, who got ahead in the count at 2-0, drives in the Cardinals' first run of the season. Tino stops at second.
2-0 sinker. Looked like he threw him. Looked like a 2-0 sinker that was down. Good hitting by DIFELICE. He went down and got it and hit it in the left field for a base hit. I think the thing that set that up is a 2-0 count. He could afford to be a little bit more aggressive and got a good pitch to hit. Put the bat on the ball. Drove in the run.
So Tony La Russa surprised a few people, starting DIFELICE today rather than Matheny, and it's already paid some dividends.
He's a smart man. Sometimes he does things that people other than guys on his team sometimes don't understand, but he put DIFELICE in there and he delivered.
Now Matt Morris bunts at it and misses. 1 out, runners at first and second. It'd have to be a pretty good bunt. Tino Martinez, runner at second, not very fast. It's a force situation at third base. There's La Russa signaling out to José Oquendo, who relays it over to Morris to tell him what he has in mind here. Mike Hampton on the mound late last November, right around Thanksgiving. He had surgery. That is bunted nicely. Hampton goes to third, and it's dropped by ZEILE. Everybody's safe.
This is a great bunt by Morris. He gets it down. Hampton's on it like a cat. Makes a great play, a perfect throw, and just comes out of ZEILE's glove.
I'm not sure what his argument was with Barksdale, the umpire. I mean, that he reached the glove out and just didn't squeeze it.
Yeah, he didn't. He was right there. And Hampton's one of the most difficult guys to do anything around that mound on. And I mean, he pounced on that ball and made a perfect throw to third. Just came out of ZEILE's glove. And ZEILE's playing third for the first time probably in 6 or 7 years. He's been a first baseman, and now he's over at third.
Bases loaded. Of such miscues are big innings often made.
Correct.
I mean, it should be 2 outs, runners at first and second with the leadoff man up. But instead, the bases are loaded. Still only 1 out in the top of the orders up there.
So 1 hit kind of blows this game open already early in the game. And 1 mistake has set this up. And so Hampton's going to have to try to work at it.
The middle infielders are double play depth. They're pulled in at the corners. ZEILE at third. Helton at first. Hampton in all kinds of trouble. And right now, he's just not right.
He doesn't look right to me. And You know, normally when he goes to the plate, he's driving his left leg towards the plate. He's really pushing on that left leg to get his arm over the top. And it looks like he's having trouble getting his arm out over that back leg. And when that happens, you're going to be high, and down in the dirt.
VINA fouls that one back out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The bases loaded, 1 out. So we got a big moment in this game, or moments, going on right now.
Yeah, if Pierre doesn't make that play in center field, this could really be a big inning for the Cardinals. Instead, he still has a chance to pitch himself out of it.
Renteria drove one to right center. And there's Juan Pierre. He made a diving catch after Edmonds led off the inning with a double. Martinez at third, DIFELICE at second, Morris at first. 1 out, 1 and 2 the count. Back out of play again. VINA, got to be a tough guy to strike out in a spot like this.
The way he can run, he's looking to try to put a ball on the ground somewhere, because Hampton hasn't really given him anything that he can really handle. So he's been swinging in defensive mode here since the first pitch. So if he can just put the ball on the ground, they got a good chance of scoring a run.
22 of those 31 pitches have come here in the second inning. There's only 1 out. Just off the outside. 2 and 2.
Hampton goes for that outer edge, and it's out there. And VINA started, but he held it back.
It was a good call.
It was out.
Good eye by VINA. 2 and 2. And a pop-up foul. So he's giving him a battle right here. That one goes out of play in amongst the spectators. Into the red shirts. 2 balls, 2 strikes. You've got Placido Polanco on deck. 1-0. St. Louis out front. Now there's Polanco on deck. Many thought after Hampton had that offseason surgery, he had a groin injury that the surgery was supposed to take care of. He refused to say that the groin injury was the reason he had such a poor second half last year, but many think that it might have contributed. Another foul out of play. 2 and 2 to count.
In this situation, I think this is why La Russa likes VINA and Polanco batting 1-2, because they're both very similar. One from the left side, one from the right side. VINA's in defensive mode right here. He's got 2 strikes on him, so he's got to be swinging anything close. And he's fouled off a few pitches here, and maybe he can foul off a few more until he can get something that he can handle.
The game itself might swing on what happens in this at bat or the next one as well. It's a foul, and VINA keeps getting tough pitches and keeps fighting them off. 2 and 2 the count to Fernando VINA. VINA last year hit .311 in his at bats with runners in scoring position in those clutch at bats.
He's a tough out. He's tough to pitch to. He hits the ball all over. He shows a little pop every now and then. But these are situations, he's a tough guy to strike out. So these situations, you're going to have to make a quality pitch to get him out.
This will be the 9th pitch from Hampton to VINA in this at bat. Martinez, DIFELICE, and Morris, the 3 runners, get their leads. And they'll have to make at least 1 more pitch. The count is full now. 3 and 2 to VINA, and there's nowhere to put it. And the Cardinals, they're thinking big inning right now. A windswept, sunshiny day in St. Louis. Polanco on deck. Wind blowing out across from right toward left. On the fist. That hit off his foot. It's a foul ball. I see his foot or his leg. And it hurt him. He's walking around trying to shake it off.
I saw that happen. I just had a vision of Jermaine Dye. It looked like it hit him right on the shin. Oh.
Jermaine Dye went off his shin in that division series against the Yankees against El Duque last October and is not back yet.
Yeah.
He will not be in the lineup for Oakland tonight. This is the 11th pitch of this sequence to VINA. A run already in for the Cardinals. Bases loaded. A high pop-up. And the infield fly rule is in effect. The wind swirling around inside this big ball. But the ball caught by Ortiz. So VINA is retired. And what a huge, huge out that is for Hampton.
Absolutely. And he had to earn it, too. He threw a lot of pitches to the plate, and VINA kept fouling him off and battling with him, but he made a quality pitch, got him out in front, popped it up. Now he's got a chance to get out of the inning.
An 11 pitch at bat. Now Placido Polanco, who singled his first time, and he's another guy in the mold of VINA. Tough to strike out. He's going to put the ball in play.
Absolutely. And all he's doing is flipping over to the other side. He's on the right side. And you know, Polanco, he hits Hampton pretty well. I think he was 13 for 28. And he's a guy that I think Hampton would have trouble with because, you know, he's not trying to muscle the ball. He's just trying to get in position and put the ball in play and take a good swing and be under control. Yeah. And these are the type of guys, especially in this type of situation, where, you know, he could create a problem here.
So Hampton won the battle against VINA, but the war continues. The bases are still loaded. Now with 2 down and a curveball. Low and in for ball 1. That was the 30th pitch that Hampton has thrown in this inning. Hampton, who really did not have a good spring, although sometimes it's difficult to tell in Arizona. Hardly anybody has a good spring pitching in Arizona.
That's true.
You see the runners: Tino Martinez, Mike DiFelice, and Matt Morris. High and along the right field line. Larry Walker is there, and Hampton gets out of the jam. The Cardinals unable to take advantage of the great opportunity. It is 1-0 St. Louis.
ESPN's Opening Day Baseball, presented by the Home Depot, is brought to you by Budget Rent-A-Car and Truck Rental, who has a variety of great vehicles to meet all your rental needs. And by New Cool Contact Towels from Old Spice.
Opening Day 2002. I'm John Miller with Tony Gwynn. Opening Day on ESPN, presented by the Home Depot. The Cardinals leading the Rockies 1-0 as we go to the 3rd. But the Cardinals let a great opportunity go by, getting just the 1 run, and the Rockies are relieved. There's a called strike to José Ortiz, acquired from the Oakland organization. And you know, when he was in that organization, as he that curveball down the third base sign, Polanco with the diving stab, and he throws him out. Beautifully done, robbing him of a double. 1 away. Meanwhile, there's an update. Let's go to Brian Kenny.
John, we go to the Yankees and the Orioles, and Roger Clemens on the hill as PIERRE later takes us to Camden Yards, and with a 1-0 lead, not anymore. Bernie Williams going to run out of room with the bases loaded. Grand slam, 5th in the career of Tony Batista. It's 5-1 now in the top of the 5th. Diamondbacks, meantime, in the top of the 5th, lead the Padres 1-0. The big unit on the hill with 4 strikeouts. John?
Interesting, though, to see in that graphic, the big unit has thrown 75 pitches in only 4 innings against the Padres, and the Padres, they'll give you a workout.
Yeah, I saw that right off the bat, too, and when you're facing them early in the year.
This is Bennett in shallow right field. VINA. Nice. Pretty smooth. 2 down. Here comes Mike Hampton, and when you see Hampton, you're looking at one of the best hitting pitchers in the game. He's had 20 hits plus in each of the last 3 years. Last year hit 7 home runs, tying the National League record for home runs by a pitcher. Here's a couple of them. Wrigley Field, he hit one. And in the desert. So he wasn't just hitting him in Coors Field.
He was hitting them everywhere. I think he had a couple against us last year. And he's a great athlete. Don't be fooled by his size.
Curveball. Now, see, you said us, and I was thinking against ESPN. And I so quickly have you assimilated as a professional broadcaster at ESPN. I didn't even remember that you were with the Padres.
Oh, well, thank you.
Well, Hampton gets another base hit.
He's a great athlete, and we saw that earlier. He bounced off the mound on that bunt, and here he's 0-2. And sometimes you think you're facing a pitcher here, and you make a mistake 0-2. fastball up in the zone. He just puts a nice short stroke on it and gets a base hit.
Well, Hampton with 20+ hits in 3 straight years since 1961, since Major League Baseball's first expansion year. Only 2 other pitchers have ever done that. Steve Carlton was the last one. Juan Pierre takes a called strike. He had 20+ hits in 4 straight seasons in the late 70s. And Earl Wilson with the Red Sox and the Tigers back in the 60s had a 3-year streak. Earl Wilson, a great athlete. I saw him at a banquet in New York in January. Still looks like he could hit.
Really?
0-2 the count. Morris with that big hook working today. He's got a good one.
He does. And, you know, when he's on, he can throw all 3. If he can throw all 3 of his pitches for strikes, he's really one of the toughest guys to hit.
Pierre down the right field line, hooking into the corner. That one is a foul ball, which is fortunate for the Cardinals, because Pierre, he was already to second base, I think, before that ball landed.
You know what? And Hampton had the gear in low. He was gone. And I don't think there's any question about his groin now, because as soon as that ball was hit, Hampton took off. And if it's fair ball, he would have scored easily.
Not fouled by that much either. You see Hampton already halfway to third, and there's Pierre.
Hey, Mike, he's picking at you.
You know, as a fan, I'm disappointed that it was foul.
I would have liked to seen if there was going to be a play, because you know, we've been sitting here wondering if Hampton's leg is his groin, if it's okay. And the way he took off running, I think it's okay.
Struck him out on a curveball, so that tells you how great that curveball is right now. Pierre, the toughest man to strike out in the National League last year. 1-0 Cardinals. The big hitters coming up. Opening day from St. Louis. The Cardinals won, the Rockies nothing. Last of the 3rd inning, and the big hitters are coming up for the Cardinals. The 3, 4, 5 spots. J.D. Drew, Albert Pujols, and Jim Edmonds against Mike Hampton. I'm John Miller with Tony Gwynn. The sellout crowd. Beautiful day, bright blue skies overhead. Not a cloud anywhere in the vicinity. I don't think there's a cloud anywhere in the Midwest, based on what I've seen here from Busch Stadium. And we do have a strong wind blowing in from right and across toward left, which when it gets in this big bowl, I would assume starts to swirl around. So balls in the air, any number of things could happen.
Yeah.
J.D. Drew takes a ball. He struck out his first time. Now, you made the assessment watching Hampton running the bases that didn't look like the groin could be a problem there.
It did.
He has had a history of success against the Cardinals. It was not so long ago that he broke their hearts here in St. Louis with 2 great performances in the League Championship Series when he was with the Mets the year before last. He pitched 16 innings against them and never allowed a run. Pitched game 1 and won that one. The 7 shutout innings, and then the clincher, a 9-inning shutout. Deep into center. Pierre going back. Still going back into left center. That ball is off the wall. And into second with a double is J.D. Drew.
He's a good-looking young hitter. He stayed in there nice and put a really nice swing on this ball. And it got up in the air, and I think it carried a little bit more than Pierre thought. And he's an athlete. I mean, just good position, good swing, comes out of the box, running hard.
I think that ball got pushed.
I think it did too. Pierre kept looking for the ball like he thought it was going to be there, and it just kept on going.
So Drew with a double. You know, it's interesting, Tony, if memory serves, he struck out in a pitch very much like that in the first inning. And this time he goes up and hits the ball off the wall.
He did.
Albert Pujols now. And that is too high. 1 ball and no strikes. Pujols, who had one of the great rookie seasons ever seen. I mean, he hit for average, 329. He had 37 homers, 130 runs batted in, scored 112 runs. And he played 4 different positions while he was doing all of that.
The thing that's impressive to me when you watch him hit is how little effort he puts into it.
Ooh, the changeup, and it's 1-1.
One of the things you notice right away is that, you know, when he takes a hack like that, when he takes a bad hack or he's fooled a little bit, how quick he makes the adjustment. He's one young hitter who I think realizes he has 3 strikes to work with, so there's no reason to rush.
He's only 22 years old, from the Dominican Republic. Very high. 2 balls and a strike. His family moved to the United States when he was a teenager. He spoke no English when he got here, but he was committed to his goal of becoming a big league ball player. Then at the junior college, his coaches there commented about how they'd have a road game and the other guys go out and have pizza and whatever. He went with the coaches because he just wanted to have a bite to eat and then go to bed, get his rest. That's back out of play. So he was focused on that goal from a young age.
Well, I think he's learned very well. I tell you, he's for a young player very impressive. And the fact that he's versatile too. You know, he played third, he played first, he played left and right last year. He moved back to left field so Polanco could get in the lineup this year. Just a fine-looking young player who's only going to get better.
Jim Edmonds on deck. Drew at second. Nobody out. There's Drew, who hit the double on the fists. Here's Pierre tagging at second is Drew. He's got excellent speed, but he's just bluffing. All the way over to third. He prompted the throw. So with 1 out, runner still at second. Let's get an update from Brian Kenny.
And John, they're still slugging it out at Fenway here in the 7th. 11-11. Tony Clark rips this. Out there and left is Jose Cruz Jr. Now later in that inning, bases are loaded. 2 outs. Ray Sanchez puts this out of this. A game-saving catch. Jose Cruz Jr. 11-11. Getting tight from top of the 8th, John.
Just like his dad. Did you play? You played against
I played against his dad. Yeah.
Was he that good in the outfield?
Yeah, he was very good outfielder.
All right. So he would have caught those balls.
Yeah, I think he would have caught him too, but I think his son's got more pop than he had.
Got some power. Here's Jim Edmonds. Edmonds hit a double, leading off the 2nd inning. Now he's trying to knock in Drew, who led off with a double here in the 3rd. Edmonds scored the Cardinals run back in the 2nd. They lead 1-0. We're in the last of the 3rd. There's Drew at second. Jim Edmonds. He's been an RBI man. He's 2 years in St. Louis, driven in over 100 runs both years. Broken bat, Blue. Heading home is Drew. Here's Hollandsworth throwing offline, and the Cardinals lead 2-0.
That was really good hitting by Edmonds, but better base running by J.D. Drew. I mean, right from the crack of the bat, he took off running and made the play. Edmonds is fooled a little bit, flips it out there. J.D. Drew is off and running as soon as the ball was hit. And even though it's a decent throw by Hollandsworth, J.D. Drew beats it easy.
So Drew got the immediate read on it.
Absolutely.
Much like Barry Bonds as a base runner. And I only bring that up because J.D. Drew tried to pattern his game after Barry Bonds. He always loved to watch Bonds play, and he thought, hey, I'm left-handed hitter like Barry. I steal bases like Barry. I play the outfield like Barry. He's my man. I'm going to play the way he plays.
He's doing an okay job at it. He's got a ways to go. He's got about 15 more years to keep patterning himself after Barry, but he's come a long way.
Edgar Renteria, 2 balls, no strikes to count to him. He was robbed of an extra base hit by Juan Pierre, made a diving catch on a liner back in the 2nd. Now a high fly ball foul off the right field line. Walker starts over, but that's back out of play. 2 balls and a strike. The Cardinals are leading 2-0 in the last of the 3rd. How about that highlight we showed earlier from Camden Yards in Baltimore? Tony Batista taking over for Cal Ripken. First opener they've had in Baltimore without Cal Ripken at third base since 1981.
Wow.
And Batista hits a grand slam against Clemens. I remember in 1989 on opening day at the old Memorial Stadium, Cal homered against Clemens, a 3-run shot. That was a big one. And the Orioles, who had lost 107 games the year before, won that opening day game against Clemens and the Red Sox, although Clemens was out of the game when they won it. And they stayed in the pennant race that year all the way until the final weekend. One of the great turnarounds in the history of the game. And I'm happy for Tony Batista. I always liked him.
I like his, you know, we all as players, we talked about him with that stance.
Off the foot of Renteria, foul ball. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And when you look around baseball, you see a lot of guys doing exactly the same thing.
And wide open stance.
Wide open stance. We see Gonzalez with Arizona.
Now, do you favor it, or you against it?
I'm neither. I think a hitter has to do what makes him feel comfortable at the plate. And
well, that sounds like you're against it then.
The first guy I saw do it was Andres Galarraga. Don Baylor opened him up and wanted him to get both of his eyes on the baseball.
And it worked.
And it worked. And so a lot of guys have gone to it.
3-2 the count. It's worked pretty well for Gonzalez.
Yeah, Gonzalez had a heck of a year last year, and so my biggest thing when it comes to hitting a baseball is just 2 things. You get in position, you take the swing. You don't try to put too much effort into it. You just go ahead and take your swing and let your natural body movement, whatever that may be, whether you're open or closed, do what you do. And so
if you don't have that much talent, probably that wouldn't work either.
Probably not. Probably not.
So that was my problem. And that I didn't. I mean, I had bad form.
This form is not as important as the 2 things. I
mean, when I was in Little League, I tried to, my stance, I tried to look like Willie Mays.
I think a lot of people tried to look like Willie Mays or Mickey Mantle.
Edgar Renteria. Deep into right center. Walker way back there. And he makes the catch right in front of the 372 marker. All the way to second was Edmonds, and he beats a hasty retreat. Walker throws in back to first. Edmonds is back. That ball looks like it's carrying pretty well out to right center as well.
It does. Renteria with the ball, it looks like it kind of got in on him a little bit, but it got in the air and it just kept going. Walker makes a nice play and shows why he's won so many Gold Gloves in right field. He just came up, threw a ball to second base, or to first base, excuse me.
We'll be seeing Walker and Helton when the Rockies come to bat in the 4th inning. Cardinals have a run home here in the 3rd, lead 2-0 against Mike Hampton. And here's Tino Martinez. He got a standing ovation before his first plate appearance. He ended up getting a walk in the 2nd inning. And that's ball 1. Larry Young, the home plate umpire, Bill Hahn, Fieldon Culbreth, and Lance Barksdale on the bases. 2-0 St. Louis, last of the 3rd. Tino Martinez, 34 home runs last year. He did not hit during the spring. I mean, he had a horrible spring in Florida. Look out. Hello. Now, is that a little National League welcome from Mike Hampton to the longtime American leaguer?
No, I don't think so. I think that's just a little bit of a lack of control right now. Hampton's got to be working close to 50, 55 pitches, and I wonder how many of those have been strikes. And as soon as I say that, line drive.
And there's another diving catch by Juan Pierre. Wow. That's 2 he's taken away. He's putting on a show out there. So Tino Martinez may have for a moment thought he'd gotten the idea of the first Cardinal hit out of the way, but not yet. 2-0 St. Louis. Uribe, then Walker and Helton coming up. Curveball from Matt Morris to Juan Uribe in there for a called strike. We're to the 4th inning now. After Uribe, the number 2 hitter in the order, you've got the power hitters Walker and then Helton. Matt Morris in command. Curve in the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now you've got both the pitcher and the batter in the shadows, but the backdrop is in the sunshine. Is this a tough time to hit against a guy like Morris?
I think it is. I think it's a tough time to hit against both of these guys because Morris is fastball, curveball. change, and his curveball is a 12-6 type curveball.
There's VINA. And Uribe, who singled his first time, is out. Now an update with Brian Kenny.
John, let's drop in on two of the game's best sluggers. Here's Jason Giambi with the bases loaded, Yanks and O's. And hey, Scott Erickson's last start, July of 2000 against these Yankees. He gets Giambi to ground out weakly, and it's 5-1 in the bottom of the 5th. Go to the Twins and Royals, and Mike Sweeney just signed up. Fans happy to see him back, and fans thrilled to see this on a 3-2 with 2 outs. 1 run will score, 0 runs will score, and it's 4-3. John?
Wow. So things spinning around out there, but Jason Giambi could not get the base hit against Scott Erickson. Great to see Erickson back. I mean, he's been a pretty good pitcher for a while, and when you have as serious an injury as he had, you wonder, I guess, if you're ever going to see the guy again.
Yeah, and you're happy to see him back, and you hope that he can have a year where he has a year where there's no injury problems and he can stay healthy.
Larry Walker, that's what the Rockies are hoping for him. No injury problems. Stay healthy. 2-0 the count. Walker hit into a double play his first time on a 2-0 pitch from Morris. Chased the high fastball and fouls it back out of play. 2-1. Helton is on deck. Atlanta won its opener today, and Gary Sheffield hit a home run in his debut. That curveball in the dirt, 3-1 the count. Tom Glavine made the start in place of the injured Greg Maddux. Got the win. Braves looks like they're going to be pretty good. Huh?
I was going to say the Braves, they never seem to miss a beat. Sheffield comes in, Glavine starts for injured Maddux. He steps in, throws a great game.
That is a base hit. So Larry Walker gets his first hit of the year. So he's on base for Todd Helton.
Well, Larry Walker has a kind of a version of a Batista, slightly open. Barrel to the baseball. Nice follow through. That's nice hitting. He gets the base hit.
Todd Helton now. The other Rockies superstar. Fastball over the inside for a strike from Morris. Matt Morris out of Seton Hall University. From the New York area. Grew up in a town about 60 miles northwest of New York City. That curveball grounded into right field. And Walker will go to third. So the two Rockies stars get singles against Matt Morris. And now the Rocky newcomer Todd ZEILE will try and pick up an RBI.
See, Helton's swing's not much different than Walker. He's more straight up and down, slightly closed, but just a good hitter. Both of these guys are good hitters. They can take the best stuff that the best pitchers have in baseball and do something with it. And so this is a good time to face them with nobody on. And so somebody else in the lineup is going to have to step up and get the base hit to get the run in. But during the course of the season, those guys are going to hit balls out of the ballpark and score runs the easy way.
And hit behind him, Todd ZEILE figures to get a lot of RBI chances.
Absolutely.
Because those guys aren't just hitting home runs. I mean, they're on base all the time.
All the time. They hit for an average. They walk. As we saw in that last play, Larry Walker went first to third, no hesitation at all. And Todd ZEILE should have some RBI opportunities this year.
And they're banking on him returning to form. That's into center field. That should get Walker home with no trouble. Edmonds with the grab, and Walker will trot home with the Rockies' first run. So Todd ZEILE is just what we're talking about. He didn't even get a base hit and still got an RBI.
Absolutely. And you talk to these guys, talk about these situations all year long where you can drive in the run without having to get a base hit. And Todd ZEILE stepped up there, got a pitch up, a good swing on it. Fly ball to center. Now, the deficit's 1 run there.
Now, ZEILE has been a pretty good RBI man over the years, always around 90, 100 RBIs, except last year. He had some elbow problems last year. And of course, ZEILE's been around a long time. He's 36 years old, and the questions were, hey, is he finished? The Rockies, Dan O'Dowd and the general manager, Buddy Bell, the manager, they're guessing not. that ZEILE will come back to form. And if he can, the combination of playing half his games at Coors Field and hitting behind those two great stars, he could have a real big year if he's healthy.
Yeah, I agree. I think offensively, he's in a situation where he should get an opportunity to drive in a whole bunch of runs.
Hollandsworth and the curve for a strike.
The question will be, will he be able to cut it every day at third base? Because Jeff Zerrilla was their third baseman. Morris drops that breaking ball right in there. Jeff Zerrilla was their third baseman. They traded him. They get Todd ZEILE now. They're asking him to play third after he's played first for 6, 7, 8, 10 years. So we'll see if he can cut that on a daily basis.
Up the first base line, and Tino Martinez grabs it in foul ground. Foul ball. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Hollandsworth. Helton will have to go back to first. Matt Morris with a 2-1 lead here in the 4th inning. Opening day in St. Louis, a sellout crowd. That ball game at Fenway Park now is through 8 innings. It is 11-11, and our friends over at ESPN Classic have already dubbed that an instant classic. But today's Toronto-Boston game will air Wednesday night at 9 Eastern on ESPN Classic. That's the kind of game they used to talk about. It was a Fenway kind of a game.
Oh, yeah. And for those of us who are working who would like to see what happened in that game, it's an instant classic already.
Yeah. Well, Helton, man, talk about being fooled on a pitch. He's thrown out by DIFELICE. The Rockies get a run. 2-1 St. Louis. Last of the 4th coming up. ESPN's coverage of opening day presented by the Home Depot. Cardinals 2, the Rockies 1, last of the 4th. Albert Pujols, the great young Cardinal star, moved from third base to left field. He told us about it before the game.
Having a great player like Placido Polanco on the bench, because I'm playing third, when I know that I can play another position, and then, just giving a chance to him to play third base. And I think our team looked better with him in the lineup. I think having a guy like that, with great defense and good bats, you can't take it out of a lineup.
Well, I mean, Albert Pujols, he's only 22. This is only his 2nd year in the big leagues. And yet, he talks like a guy's been around for a lot longer than that. He thinks the club looks better with this alignment. No problem for him. DIFELICE fouled that one down off his left leg. And Bernie Weinberg, the trainer's going to go out and make sure he's all right. 0-2 the count. DIFELICE single home run his first time. I mean, sometimes a guy gets asked to be change position, and he gets a little upset about it. Gets hurt by it.
Yeah, but Albert's a young player, I think, who realizes that, like he was talking about earlier, how he hung with the coaches, he didn't hang with the players. I think he understands sometimes how the manager thinks things should be, and so when they suggested that they should go to the left field, I don't think it was a problem for him because he wants the best people out there playing.
DIFELICE on the fist. ZEILE is called off, and the ball caught by Uribe. DIFELICE is out number 1 in the 4th inning. Here's an update. Let's go to Brian Kenny.
All right, thank you, John. Let's go to the Cubs and the Reds. Fred McGriff trying to make something happen here, down 4-3. That's Aaron Boone. Long way to go off his glove. Fair ball. Run will score. It's 4-4 now in the top of the 9th. And if Pedro can get shelled, so can Roger Clemens with the bases loaded. Melvin Mora clearing them all. Wow. 8-1. Both Clemens and Pedro 1 run shy of their worst outing ever.
Wow. Pedro and Clemens both clobbered on opening day.
Who'd have thunk it?
I mean, now Roger went 20-3 last year. And I guess that's one question for the Yankees this year. I mean, some people, after they got Giambi, they made some of the other changes. They bolstered their bullpen. Made several changes. That one is back to the backstop. 2-0 to Matt Morris. 1 out, nobody on here in the 4th inning. I mean, is Clemens going to go 20-3 again? I mean, probably not.
Probably not.
Even if he were 30 years old, the odds are not good he'd go 20-3 again. Well, but he's not 30. He's 40. That's a strike. 2-1. So there may be some questions for the Yankees. I mean, David Wells, he looked great in the spring, but he's getting up into baseball's elderly area. El Duque. That one is hit well to left field and caught by Hollandsworth. Out number 2. We got baseball coming up on Wednesday on ESPN, and our new Wednesday afternoon coverage will begin. The Pittsburgh Pirates and the New York Mets at Shea. Mike Piazza and the Mets, and then that night, Wednesday night baseball doubleheader, Chipper Jones and the Braves up against the Phillies, and then Barry Bonds and the Giants at Dodger Stadium. The Giants and the Dodgers at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. The Wednesday night baseball doubleheader on ESPN2. Here is Fernando VINA, the leadoff man. Now he spun there. It almost looked to me on that soft curveball he was spinning into the path of the ball.
Well, they teach you as a hitter that you take that front shoulder and you turn it in when they come inside. So
that's a strike.
If it's going to hit you, you want it to hit, you know, on the back side of your shoulder or your back, instead of taking it the other way, like I saw Willie Mays do a lot of times against Don Drysdale when he throw that slider. You just take it right in the chest.
That is a base hit. So VINA with his first hit. He's now 1 for 3. You know, I mean, Hampton needs an easy inning. He threw 60 pitches the first 3 innings. He needs a quick one, or he's not going to be around much longer.
You're right, and I think it looked like he was cruising along. I mean, he got the first 2 guys out. He got this ball out over the plate to VINA, and he lines it right back up the middle. And see, sometimes these 2 guys, when you're in this situation, there's 2 outs, nobody on. VINA gets on. He's a threat to steal. Could possibly steal a bag and get in scoring position for Polanco, who's a tough, pesky type of hitter himself. And little things like a base hit can turn into big innings.
That is a foul off the right field line. Polanco has singled, and he is flied out to right. 1 for 2. Part of the festive crowd today here, Cincinnati, the historic baseball cities. In these cities, opening day is it's a holiday. It's a big family day. Parades. Cincinnati always has a big parade downtown on opening day. Just over Hampton, and Uribe can't handle it. It wouldn't have mattered if he had. An infield hit for Polanco. VINA to second. That keeps the inning going for the powerful J.D. Drew.
So both of these guys find a way to get on base. Hampton made a really good pitch to Polanco. He just beat it right off the plate over Hampton's head. And Uribe came in, made a nice effort, but I don't believe he was going to throw him out anyway. And so now you get to the meat part of the lineup for the Cardinals with J.D. Drew.
So Drew comes up with an RBI opportunity. Drew last year hit .323, and with men in scoring position, he's got one out there now. The runners at second or third or both. We say scoring position. He hit .337. So he was even better in these kind of spots. 1 ball and no strikes. Hampton's worked behind in the count an awful lot today.
It sure seems like it. And this is a situation where, you know, I think Drew has really improved from year to year. Where this exact situation, facing a left-handed pitcher, guys in scoring position. Early in his career, he was a lot more anxious.
That's a foul off to the right. 1 ball, 1 strike. He hit one off the center field wall his last time for a double leading off to third and scored the run that at the moment has the Cardinals leading. They lead 2-1 in the last of the 4th.
That last swing that we just saw him take, that was the kind of swing he'd take a lot. And last year, early in the year especially, he looked like he'd really settled down and started to see the ball really well.
Way outside, Bennett keeps the ball nearby. The runners have to hold. Albert Pujols on deck. He would be next. Cardinals have 7 hits against Hampton already. Hampton's walked one. There's been an error committed. I mean, really, it's been a gritty performance by Hampton. You see, he has started behind hitters more than he's started ahead of them. He's done a great job, really, just to keep the game close.
Yes.
Constantly in trouble. That ball saved in the dirt by Bennett. 3-1 the count. Hampton with a new ball. He'll rub it up. Bennett, the new Rockies catcher, he and Petrick will be splitting the duties. Buddy Bell says that neither one is going to be the #1 catcher. He's anticipating they'll both play about the same amount of the time. They brought in a lot of catchers this spring. They had Tony Eusebio. They released him. Carlos Hernandez. That is a strike on the outside. 3-2. But a pitcher's pitch, and Drew did not offer ahead of the count.
Absolutely. And that's the difference. You know, last year, 2 years ago, he just swung at that pitch. He's ahead in the count, and now it's 3-2. And so if he should get something decent to hit, he'll probably be in a good position and take a good swing at it. Where years past, he might have been a little bit more anxious and want to go out and hit the pitcher's pitch instead of trying to get a pitch that he can hit.
Now the runners will be taking off. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 down. VINA and Polanco, they both run pretty well, especially VINA. Shortstop Uribe almost right up the middle for the left-handed batting Drew. Hampton looks at second. Now throws. Runners go. And a dribbler. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Foul. Helton grabbed it before it had a chance to roll back into fair ground.
That last swing, he looked like he was fooled, like a changeup. And they're trying to keep this ball fair, but once it goes on the foul side, just keep it in foul territory, because J.D. Drew can run. And that ball stays fair before he gets down there. They're going to try to make the play and keep him off the base paths, but ball rolled foul. Opportunity.
Drew was hustling. That strong wind, winds 15 to 25 miles an hour. I'd say it's been mostly in the 25-mile-an-hour range for this game. VINA and Polanco. There they go. And it's ball 4. Now Pujols. And this is where he excelled last year. To drive in the runs. He had 130 runs batted in. And here he is, a right-handed hitter with the bases loaded. Pujols hit .310 with men in scoring position last year. Had 1 grand slam. So another one of those key points of the game.
Yeah.
Chance for the Cardinals to break it open a bit. That is a strike on the inside. Hampton has had to labor. There have been base runners in every inning. He's thrown 80 pitches, including 20 in this inning. It looked like he was going to get a quick inning, but with 2 down and nobody on, VINA got a single. And Polanco got the infield hit, then Drew with the walk. Now the bases are loaded. And Pujols trying to do some damage. 1-1.
Well, Pujols, in this situation, like you said, I mean, Hampton has been in trouble, it seems like, every inning, but, you know, you got a guy like Pujols up there. Hampton is still trying to make quality pitches, even though he's bouncing balls in the dirt, even though he really hasn't been hit hard this inning. He's giving you everything he has, and he's trying to make a pitch so he can get out of this inning again.
Cardinals have had 2 hits in 7 at-bats with runners in scoring position today. Down the right field line. Walker on the run. No! VINA scores. Polanco scores. Here comes Drew, and they all have scored. A 3-run double. The big hit the Cardinals have been lacking, and they lead 5-1.
It's just good hitting by Pujols there. He didn't try to pull the ball. He went right with it. Hit it down the right field line, and once again, like a little slider kind of out over the plate, and just slices it down the right field line, and once again a big inning has happened here because of just good AB by the Cardinal hitters. VINA the single to center, the infield base hit by Polanco, a walk by J.D. Drew, and the big hit, and it's 5-1.
And here's Jim Edmonds, second in the club last year in RBIs, and he has one today. Hampton has not been able to get him out today. He's doubled and scored a run, and he has singled home a run. And for the first time, the Colorado bullpen is going to get busy. I mean, they've been threatening to do what they just did to Hampton all day long.
Right. And in this inning, all with 2 outs.
And yeah, I mean, it is extremely ironic. I mean, in the one inning where it looked like he might have an easy inning, 2 down, nobody on, that's where they get to him. So Albert Pujols, his first hit of the year, was a backbreaker, a 3-run double. From 2-1, it becomes 5-1. (3-0) the count now to Edmonds. The bullpen is busy. There is Dennis Reyes, a left-hander, getting ready for Colorado. Hampton is due up 3rd in the next inning. Certainly Buddy Bell likes to see him finish this inning. But it just won't be finished. 5 straight Cardinals have reached base since there were 2 outs. And now we're going to have the visit to the mound. Wright, the pitching coach for Colorado, out to talk to Hampton. So this is, I'm sure, extreme concern for the Rockies and their fans. I mean, if Hampton doesn't have a big year, it's going to be tough for them to be a contender. They got him to be the ace. Hey, tomorrow night at 10 Eastern, ESPN brings you the premiere of More Sports. This comedian Jay Moore, a very funny man. He'll be performing in front of a live studio audience. More Sports will have interviews with athletes. There'll be musical performances and entertainment personalities commenting on sports. More Sports, 10 Eastern, they debut, the premiere tomorrow night on ESPN. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. I guess the part that's of such concern for the Rockies about Hampton is that the Cardinals are a team that he has done extremely well against.
Yeah, he has. And
here's Renteria down the third base line, past the diving ZEILE. Here comes Pujols. He's in to score. Hollandsworth digs it out, stopping at third. Edmonds, a double for Renteria. 6 in a row have reached base, and it is now 6-1 Cardinals. 4 runs have scored in an inning that started with 2 outs and nobody on.
It's just good hitting by Renteria too. He got a ball out over the plate, and kind of yanks it down the third base line. And you know, really, Hampton, the ball wasn't really hit that hard off of him. I mean, you know, once again, he got DIFELICE to pop out, and Morris to line out, and all of this with 2 outs.
Big hit, Polanco with a chop just over Hampton's head. 6-1 Cardinals. Reyes is coming into the game. We'll be right back. There's the big left-hander Dennis Reyes. He turned 25 in less than 3 weeks, and he comes down to relief here of Mike Hampton. Reyes from Guerra de Zaragoza, Mexico, who came to the Rockies along with Pokey Reese in that deal. Left-hander Gabe White went to Cincinnati, among others. And the lefty throws a called strike to Tino Martinez. Tino still looking for his first hit as a Cardinal. He's walked and lined out to center. He got robbed of a hit by Juan Pierre's last time. He got 2 men in scoring position. Edmonds at third. There's Renteria at second. A little dribbler. ZEILE going to have to hurry. He got it. 9 men come to bat for the Cardinals. 4 of them score. We go to the 5th inning. 6-1 St. Louis. Now to the 5th inning. Matt Morris suddenly with a big lead. 6-1 Cardinals as José Ortiz leads off, hitting 7th in the order for Colorado, taking a strike. He'll be followed by Gary Bennett and then the pitcher spot. 6-1. Mike Hampton lasted only 3 2/3 innings today for Colorado. Oh man. The big hook. 0-2 the count. The Rockies bullpen is busy again, so Buddy Bell may be looking to pinch hit for Reyes. 6 runs, 9 hits allowed in 3 2/3 innings against the club that he shut out into the 9th inning a year ago on opening day at Coors Field. And Morris got the great curveball working today. 1 away, and here's Brian Kenny with an update.
John, Boston and Toronto at 11-11, but sometimes the game can swing on a play like this. A double steal. Buck Martinez sends Mondesi and Delgado, so it's 2nd and 3rd. Darren Fletcher, and this will be deep enough. Sacrifice fly with 1 out. 12-11. Blue Jays beat the Red Sox. Kelvin Escobar was able to shut things down, and you can see this an instant classic on ESPN Classic on Wednesday. A classic with 13 walks from Toronto, John.
All right. And there's a called strike to Gary Bennett. But, you know, what if this one ends up being an instant classic?
You never know.
I think they made that ruling a little quick.
Well, they could have 2.
2 instant classics?
2 instant classics on the same day.
But they're saying it's Wednesday night. I want that Wednesday night 9 spot, 9 o'clock Eastern, for this game.
Okay. Well.
I mean, what if Colorado gets 5 runs in the 8th inning or something, or Walker hits a grand slam, or Helton and Walker go back-to-back, or they hit back-to-back grand slams?
Well, you know, they made this an instant classic quickly. So I think if the Rockies rally here and make this a game and possibly, you know, tie it or win it, they have that ability. They can make it happen again.
I mean, is it because it's 12-11? Is that it? They're impressed by that big score. I mean, what if this one's like 8-8, bottom of the 9th? Or, you know, it feels like to me like, you know, election night when they project the winner, and it's a little bit early to do that, you know.
Yeah.
And ball 4 to Bennett. And here's another update. Brian Kenny.
Yeah, John, you have some competition here as well from the Reds and Cubs. 4-4, bottom of the 9th with 1 out. In the air, Aaron Boone, Sammy Sosa there. We've got a play to the plate. Barry Larkin coming in with the game on the line, and he's in. Beats the throw. 5-4. Reds get the win. Todd Walker 3 for 4 in the game, John.
Now you're telling me that wasn't an instant classic? Cincinnati and Chicago. I want to see that game. Here is Benny Agbayani, the former Met, picked up by the Rockies in a trade. He's pinch hitting here for Reyes. So this is his Colorado debut. We did have that game last August. I don't know if you saw it. As late as the 7th inning, Cleveland was trailing Seattle 14-2
oh,
in the
yeah.
Sunday night game, and they won.
Yeah.
They were still down 14-9 with 2 outs in the 9th inning.
Yeah.
And they won. Now that's a classic.
That, without question, is a classic.
So, and now that I think about it, hey, did Toronto come from 12 runs back? We're getting a little loose with that classic phrase, aren't we? 1-2 now to Agbayani. Another curveball from Morris.
He's getting it over. He's throwing it for a strike, and it's got big break to it. Agbayani kind of froze on that one a little bit. It's a good pitch.
And a curve in the dirt. Now with 2 strikes, you'll often hear it said that the pitcher wants to bounce a curveball in there.
Yeah. Yeah, in that situation, sometimes they want to bounce the curveball because, especially after you've thrown one for a strike, like he did the pitch before. We saw Hollandsworth strike out earlier in the game on the same pitch. He threw a big bender for a strike, and then he bounced one and he chased it. Sometimes the hitter will chase it because he's looking for it, and he sees the break, and sometimes he just can't hold back on him.
3-2. Matt Morris, 27 years old, from Middletown, New York. He was drafted out of high school by the Brewers, but he turned him down and he wanted to go to Seton Hall. 21-12 in 3 years at Seton Hall, and drafted by the Cardinals. Agbayani lifts the fastball foul and out of play. His mom is a secretary at the high school that he attended in Middletown. His dad, George, is an iron worker in Manhattan. For over 30 years, his dad has made the 140-mile round trip every day from Middletown into New York. He used to take Matt to work with him occasionally. And he told the story about he was working on a construction site 30 stories above ground level with Matt. Wow. That's out of play. And he said to him, and it was cold. And he said to Matt, he said, you know, I think I could get you in the union and get you on this job. You could do just what I'm doing. But Matt wasn't going for it.
He said he wanted to go to college and learn how to pitch. He's done a wonderful job.
Curveball, got him looking. Well, he'd thrown him 3 straight fastballs, and then back with the knee buckler.
And that's exactly what that was. I mean, look at the break on this. And as soon as that ball starts to break, I think Agbayani realizes, he got me.
Now, Matt Morris's teammate, Darryl Kyle, got one of the best curveballs in the game. I mean, is Kyle's curveball better than what we're seeing from Morris right now?
Well, I think that.
Here's Juan Pierre to shortstop, and Renteria steps in the bag for the force out on Bennett. Hold that thought.
Okay.
Tony Gwynn on who's got the best curveball. Coming up, 6-1 Cardinals.
ESPN's Opening Day Baseball, presented by the Home Depot, is brought to you by Hertz, the world's #1 in car rental, and by Rocky Mountain Cold Coors Light. Are you ready for a cold one?
I'm John Miller with Tony Gwynn from St. Louis. The Cardinals 6, the Rockies 4 as we go to the last half of the 5th inning. I mean, Mike James, the former Cardinal, is now on to pitch. So he makes his Colorado debut against his old mates. He's a very good friend of Jim Edmonds. The two of them are not only teammates here, but also in Anaheim. Got pretty good stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah, fastball, slider, hard slider. And, you know, back to the point I was making before the break here. When you have a guy like Kyle who throws, Kyle and Morris, both of them have the big breaking ball. The difference is Morris is throwing 94, 95 now with a breaking ball. With Kyle, when he's on, he's upwards in the 90s, 91, 92. But it's the speed of the fastball that sets up the breaking ball.
DIFELICE way back there and gone, a home run. Wow. Second hit for DIFELICE. His second RBI and the first home run for the Cardinals. 7-1.
It's the fastball, middle in. Got his foot down, took the swing. I think he knew it from the time it left the bat that it was going out of the ballpark.
Well, when a guy clears the bullpen out there, I mean, when McGwire played here, that wasn't such a big deal.
Right.
But for just about every other human being, that's a pretty good shot.
Absolutely. You know, to me, I was just happy to see it go over the wall. I forget the other stuff.
You hit some?
I hit a few. Yeah.
Out of the park, though.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, not very often, but.
Here now, Matt Morris, 1 ball, 1 strike. Off the fist, foul, and back out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Morris has been safe on an error by Todd ZEILE, and he is lined out to the left fielder. Now, I got some info on you 5 years ago. You hit a grand slam against the Dodgers. but it didn't leave the park.
Oh, yeah.
An inside the park grand slam. Morris called out on strikes. Number 1. I mean, an inside the park grand slam.
Yeah, that doesn't happen very often. And just kind of sliced the ball to left field, and Brett Butler was playing left field, dove for it and got by him, and he hurt his shoulder on the play, so he couldn't get up to get it, and that's how I made it all the way around the base.
But I mean, you must have been motoring. You must have been.
I got it. I couldn't believe I scored, to be honest.
And inside the park. And did you win the game?
Yeah, we did win the game.
Fernando VINA takes a strike. VINA 1 for 3. It was his 2-out bases empty single in the 4th inning that started the 4-run rally that opened this game up. 7-1. The Cardinals are leading Colorado in the last of the 5th. And James ahead of him, 0-2. Polanco is on deck. But I mean, just so you think Morris's curveball is a little more effective than Kyle's just because he throws harder than Kyle?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, but as a curveball unto itself, I mean, Kyle's is still one of the better ones.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But you're putting Morris up there at the top of the list as well.
Because Morris has a little bit more bite to it too, I would say. But to me, the thing that made it effective was the fact that he was throwing 95. It wasn't it wasn't that difference in the break.
Well, that's pretty good. The slider there from James, and he strikes out VINA. Out number 2. The batter will be Placido Polanco.
A lot of times when you get a guy that's throwing hard and then they throw the breaking ball, you have the tendency to look bad on it. But in Morris's case and Kyle's case, I think to a certain degree with Nagel.
There's Polanco along the right field line. There's Walker. Started back, now to come in and makes the lunging catch. He thought that one was going to take off, and it didn't. But he recovered. Nice play. Ultimately. So the Cardinals are trying to get another run on the DIFELICE homer. We're going to the 6th inning. Uribe, and then this man, Larry Walker, and Todd Helton to follow. 7-1, St. Louis.
8-0 against the Padres. John, Tony.
Wow. 128 pitches in opening day.
Wow.
Which is not, it's not a huge amount for Randy Johnson. 0-1 the count to Uribe. Wow, there's another one of those knee-bending curveballs from Matt Morris. Now, the best curveball you ever saw?
For me, I'd say Nolan Ryan. When he was on, he'd throw a 99 and then the over-the-top hammer.
Well, there's another curveball for a strike. I mean, Morris right now, I think he's throwing more curveballs than he's throwing fastballs.
Well, when he can throw it for a strike, it's just a tough pitch. And look at the bite on it. It looks like it's going to come inside, and it just snaps over on that outside corner.
So Uribe now 1 for 3. Larry Walker hit into a double play and singled to right and scored the Rockies run. He takes a curveball for a strike. 6 strikeouts now for Morris. 1 ball, 1 strike. Todd Helton on deck. We're in the 6th inning. Cardinals have a big lead, but it's not that late in the game yet. Even if the Rockies could get a couple of here and have a chance to chip away in those late innings in the dirt for a ball. 3-1 the count now. Was that a changeup?
I think it was. And when you got a 6-run lead, you can afford to mix it up a little bit. You know, you've been throwing his breaking ball here a lot and throwing it for a strike. You know, you got, like I said, 2 great hitters coming up back to back here.
Well, he walks Larry Walker, so Todd Helton will come up with a chance to help the Rockies cut into this lead. 7-1 St. Louis in the top of the 6th inning. Did you ever face Bert Blyleven?
Yeah, I did. I faced him when he was with the Angels.
Now that's later in his career.
Yeah.
And how good was his curveball by then?
That was good. That was really good. Because he threw his a bunch of different ways. He threw it straight over the top. He threw it 3/4.
0-1 to Helton. Now, I mean, in the 70s, most hitters thought that Blyleven had the best curveball in the game.
Yeah. I only saw him in spring training, though. I didn't face him during the regular season.
High in the air, shallow right. There is Drew. Pretty good pitch to Todd Helton, tying him up. And a pop fly into shallow right. Walker holding it first, 2 down. Matt Morris has only given up 4 hits in the game. You see he's had the 6 strikeouts and a lot of ground outs. That's only the 2nd fly ball out that there's been in this game off the bat of a Rocky. Something came out onto the field out in the shallow right center, so remember the grounds crew runs out to retrieve it. Matt Morris giving her time to get off the field before he goes back to work here. But I mean, that game 5 of that division series last year when Morris faced Schilling.
Right.
I mean, that was a classic game.
It was.
I mean, we saw so many great games in the postseason last year.
You know, and it's unfortunate for Matt because he pitched great in that game. And, you know, we remember Arizona winning, and we don't want to take anything away from them. But he pitched great in game 5 and, you know, unfortunately didn't come away with the W.
1 ball, 1 strike. And Matt Morris, I think he had a 1.20 ERA in those 2 starts against Arizona and didn't win either game. That's too low. He lost 1-0 in game 1 and 2-1 in game 5. He was matched up against Curt Schilling in both games. He pitched 15 innings in those 2 games and gave up 2 runs. Seemed like you got to win one of them.
I know. It's almost not fair.
I remember in well, let's go back now to game 5. Matt Morris at Bank One Ballpark in Phoenix. Oh man, and the good stuff working. And then finally in the 9th inning against Steve Klein, Womack knocked in the winner. Here's Todd ZEILE with a ground ball to 3rd, and Polanco throws to 2nd base to VINA, forcing out Larry Walker, and just like that, the inning is over. Unlike last October, the Cardinals have supported Morris handsomely. He's leading 7-1. You're watching ESPN's coverage of baseball's opening day, presented by the Home Depot. Earlier today on ESPN and over on ESPN2, we had lots of coverage. So Atlanta beat Philadelphia 7-2. Tom Glavine got a win. Vinny Castilla and Gary Sheffield welcomed themselves to their new home, each hitting home runs. J.D. Drew has been retired on a ground ball. The new pitcher, Rick White, getting Drew on 1 pitch. Drew now 1 for 3 today with a walk and 2 runs scored. But he's retired. And here's Rick White, last year with the New York Mets. That's a couple of 2-3 years. He's had very fine seasons coming out of the bullpen.
He's one of the reasons why I think the Rockies feel like their bullpen's going to be a lot more settled this year with James, with Reyes, with White, veteran guys who've pitched well in the past.
Albert Pujols and a slider in there for a strike. Pujols has had the big hit of the day.
Yeah.
2 outs in the 4th inning. It was only 2-1, and he hit the bases loaded double. 3 runs scored. So the big RBI man last year, and he picks right up where he left off. I mean, if he doesn't get that hit, he might still be in a 2-1 ball game. Maybe Hampton's still in there.
Absolutely. And when we were talking about it that inning, he was trying his best to work himself out of that jam, and really didn't make that bad a pitch. Pujols just lined it down the right field line, and Walker couldn't get to it.
They're in St. Louis, and they saw Pujols last year. They saw him physically, his presence at the plate, and the kind of success that he was having. They were reminded of a Hall of Famer who played here, helped them get to a couple of World Series in the 60s, the Baby Bull, Orlando Cepeda, El Hijo de Perucho. That one into center field. Way back goes Pierre, still going off the wall. And Pujols with a long double. Edmonds coming up. Let's get an update with Brian Kenny.
John, two of the top contenders in the American League, Mariners and White Sox. Mark Burley off a sensational season last year, but Mike Cameron gets a good piece of this, puts it out. Mariners have a 1-0 lead in the fourth. Yankees not done just yet. Scott Erickson is out, Rodrigo Lopez is in, and Derek Jeter with a 2-run shot. It's now 8-3, Baltimore leading the Yankees.
Well, into the short porch in right field at Camden Yards above the big wall out there. Jeter had his Yankee Stadium home run stroke going there.
Yeah.
Jeter's always sent him into that short porch in right field at the big ballpark in the Bronx. Jim Edmonds is going to be walked intentionally here with the right-handed batting Edgar Renteria on deck. Pujols with a booming double to straightaway center field. And in the old days here, before they moved the fences in, when they had the turf, I mean, this was a graveyard for home run hitters. I mean, when guys would hit a fly ball in the air to center field here, it always got caught on the warning track.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. But you know, something happened here when they enclosed it or whatever. Something happened, and balls. I mean, yeah, they brought the walls in. They brought the walls in center field and in the alleys. It was 383 when it was AstroTurf, and then they brought them in to 372. But this was always one of the toughest ballparks to hit home runs in. And I don't know, when Mark McGwire came over here, all of a sudden this park became small. I've never, in all the years I played in the big leagues, I have never seen kids run up to the upper deck during batting practice. Never. And you watch Big Mac just take his nice, easy swing, and he was launching balls up there. And I think for a lot of guys in the league, it was a real eye-opener for us because I had never seen balls fly like they fly here now.
So Big Mac, who was a force of nature, and maybe he changed the whole climate. Maybe he changed the wind currents. Something he did, because I agree with you, and everybody in baseball agrees with you, that McGwire changed the ballpark somehow.
Something happened, and you know, the new configuration with the scoreboards out in center field at the top, and the flags that they have in right center and left center. You know, I don't think it played that big a factor, but I know this: when Big Mac started hitting balls here, all of a sudden everybody else started hitting balls here too.
0-2 to Renteria. Well, you saw the numbers. I mean, McGwire, they'd never seen home run hitting in St. Louis, such as Mark McGwire brought to town. And I kept looking for him today.
I know, I did too.
Mac? I felt cheated during batting practice when I didn't get to watch Big Mac. I mean, that became a show all unto itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We all looked forward to getting out here early for batting practice.
1-2. Renteria has been robbed of a double by Juan Pierre. He's flied out deep to right center, and he's hit a double past third, knocking in a run. He's 1 for 3. Pujols at second. Edmonds at first, 1 out. 7-1, the Cardinals lead in the 6th inning. Rick White, the 4th Rockies pitcher of the game. Oh, that hit him. Well, he had him in a deep hole, and he loses him.
Fastball, he's trying to come in. I think just kind of came out of his hand wrong. Maybe held on to it a little bit too much, too long, and just got away from him. I don't think he was trying to hit Renteria. Definitely not in that situation. But that brings Tino to the plate with an opportunity to maybe drive in a few more and get his first hit as a Cardinal.
Tino Martinez, the fans again gave him a nice ovation, as if to try and inspire him to make it start happening right now. Change up, and it's 0-1. Tino Martinez, last year with the Yankees, had 34 homers and 113 RBIs. In 6 years in New York, he drove in over 100 runs 5 times. 25 homers or more 5 of those 6 years. Right center. Walker going back. He's there. But tagging from third, Pujols. He scores. Edmonds moves over to third. Tino Martinez gets his first RBI as a Cardinal. And now it is 8-1 St. Louis.
Just good hitting there by Tino. He swung and missed at a changeup the pitch before. And just tried not to do too much. Just put a good swing on it and gets the job done.
Tino has hit 9 grand slams in his career. Last year with the Yankees in those bases loaded at bats, he had a 400 average. Seemed like the good hitters always have a good average with the bases loaded.
Yeah, well, I remember one grand slam he hit when he was a member of the Yankees in a World Series game that, you know, I wish I could forget. But he's a good guy with runners in scoring position.
And that slider from White is a strike to Mike DiFelice, who's had 2 hits, a home run, 2 RBIs. Edmonds at third, Renteria at first. 8-1 St. Louis. Hit it against Mark Langston. A pitch after Langston thought he'd struck him out.
Oh, yeah. I don't think he'd mind me saying it now.
Left center. And Hollandsworth calls off Pierre. Now we head to the late innings. Through 6, the Cardinals 8, the Rockies 1. Hollandsworth coming up.
I want to go home.
Now, when you want to get home, always remember to dial right down the center.
Now to the top of the 7th inning, the Rockies trailing the Cardinals 8-1. Todd Hollandsworth will lead off here against Matt Morris. Hollandsworth 0 for 2, has struck out twice. And that is ball 1. Many feel that the Cardinals are favored not just to win their division, but to get to the World Series out of the National League this year. After the moves made in the offseason by Walt Jocketty, the Cardinals' fine general manager. They brought in the closer, Jason Isringhausen, which not only filled that role, but it had sort of a chain reaction, making the bullpen much deeper. Dave Veers, who was the closer much of the time last year, moves into a setup spot. There's Izzy, the new Cardinal closer, out there in the bullpen. And that bullpen looks to be pretty deep. You got the left-hander Klein, the right-hander Veers, the setup man. That one hit sharply by Hollandsworth, but tracked down by Edmonds. And there is one away. Now an update with Brian Kenny.
John, we have a surge of power from leadoff man Jock Jones, Twins and Royals, and with 2 men aboard, down 6-4. There's a 3-run shot for Jones. Lit off the game with a homer. He's 3 for 4 with the 2 home runs. Twins with 5 in the game. It's 7-6. John, Tony.
All right, and that's a base hit down the left field line by Ortiz. It'll go into the corner. Pujols plays the carom, and into second with a stand-up double is José Ortiz. His first hit. First extra base hit for the Rockies, only their 5th hit all told.
Ortiz is the first guy to hit that breaking ball. He was like he was looking for it. He got the breaking ball, hit it right down the line for a double.
I guess if you're looking for the breaking ball when the guy's got a great one, the first pitch is the time to look for
Sometimes it is, yes.
Now here's Gary Bennett. Well, your protege, Jock Jones.
I'm going to leave that alone.
2 homers today. I just hope they don't hear about it in Kansas City. You couldn't work with any of the Kansas City hitters?
Nobody called. Nobody wanted to. You know, those guys called me up and wanted to do something. And
0-1 the count to Bennett. He is grounded out to second and walked. Now, if this had been a 1-1 game with nobody out, that would have been a great bit of hitting.
Absolutely.
That's not what the Rockies need at the moment, however. They're down by 7. And Terry Shumpert is out of the dugout, and he is going to pinch hit for Rick White. Buddy Bell is running through his bullpen almost the way he was right up until this weekend in Arizona in the Cactus League. Mike Hampton, the Rockies starter, lasted only 3 2/3 innings. And he's run through the the bullpen since then. Here's Shumpert, runner at third, 2 down, and a called strike from Matt Morris. In the bullpen, another one of those acquisitions for the Rockies that they're hoping will solidify things out there. Todd Jones, former closer, is warming up now.
You know, with the Rockies, a lot of their games get to be like this anyway, where they have to use a lot of guys.
Especially in Denver.
Absolutely. And you know, so I think they're used to that part. I think they will get used to that part of it.
1-2 the count. I mean, if you're a relief pitcher on Buddy Bell's staff, you're going to work. You're
going to work. Absolutely.
And you're going to work and work and work and work. I mean, those guys, they got 70, 75, 80 appearances. Usually got 3 guys.
Absolutely.
At least to make that many appearances.
Well, you know, Buddy usually always keeps an extra pitcher.
Ooh, man. The big curveball. 7 strikeouts for Morris.
Yep.
Morris is coming up. We go to the last of the 7th. 8-1 Cardinals.
ESPN's Opening Day Baseball is presented by The Home Depot. The Home Depot, driving down the cost of home improvement. And in part by Purolator. Pure oil now, pure oil later. And by Lexus and their passionate pursuit of perfection.
This is John Miller along with Tony Gwynn. Pleased to be part of opening day coverage on ESPN. 8-1. The Cardinals are leading the Rockies. The big crowd has just stood up, stretched, and sung "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" together. Part of the here in St. Louis, much like in Cincinnati and many other cities, opening day is not just the ball game. That's just part of the opening day party. It's just a massive party that the whole area seems to take part in. There's Todd Jones. He's been the closer with the Detroit Tigers. Ended up with the Twins, trying to help bolster their bullpen for the stretch run last year. Now with the Rockies. And really had his worst season last year.
Yeah. He's a right-handed pitcher, fastball, curveball change.
And a pinch hitter, Kerry Robinson, batting for Matt Morris. So
See you later. See you, Mark.
Tony La Russa will not ask for anything more from Matt Morris.
We were talking earlier in the game about getting Isringhausen. I think this is going to be, Russa wants to see how this is going to work out. He's got Klein for the 7th.
Right past Todd Jones, who reached out for it with his bare hand. Pretty good arm by the shortstop Uribe that he showed off right there to throw out Robinson. There's one away.
Go ahead and take this opportunity to find out how this bullpen's going to work now, where he can use Klein for an inning. He can bring Veers in for an inning. Maybe get Izzy in for 1 inning.
Well, as many teams do on opening day, they build in an off day on the next day.
Yeah.
Just in case it rains, I guess. Or some cities, I guess, in case it snows.
Yeah.
Curveball for a called strike to VINA. So La Russa is a big believer in getting those relievers regular work as well. So they had the day off yesterday. They will have the day off tomorrow. And well done again by Uribe. The Rockies think that Uribe could end up being a huge star.
I agree. He's got good range, good arm. You know, and we talked about it earlier. Very rarely do you see a second baseman, shortstop this young thrown out there on opening day at the same time. And you know, we saw Uribe a lot last year at the end of the year, and he came in and did a really nice job for them. So I like the way he plays. He swings the bat okay too. He can really run.
There's Placido Polanco, who is 2 for 4 with a run scored. He takes a called strike. Well, Uribe was the reason they felt they could trade Neifi Perez. Neifi now with Kansas City, and they think Uribe will be a much better offensive player ultimately. In fact, I mean, he had a great half year after they traded Neifi. That's out of play off to the right. 0-2 to Polanco. Todd Jones, by the way, I was talking about Jones last year had his worst year. The year before that, he's had 42 saves for the Detroit Tigers. He was the closer in Detroit. Had 28 saves or more in each of 4 consecutive years. On the fists, Uribe. Well, 3 straight guys tested him. He had to come charging in on all of them, and all of them went down. We go to the 8th inning, top of the order for the Rockies, 8-1. It's opening day 2002 on ESPN, presented by the Home Depot. And we are in St. Louis. The National League came into being in 1876. So these openers, this should be the 126th anniversary of the first openers ever played in National League history. And there was a team in St. Louis that very first year. Juan Pierre with the fly ball that caused Pujols to drift back in left field. Pierre's been kept off the bases today. He's 0 for 4. Steve Kline, the new St. Louis pitcher, in relief of Matt Morris, who went 7 innings, gave up only 1 run and 5 hits. Kline, one of the top left-handed relievers in the league.
He is. You know, I think getting Isringhausen really puts him in a situation where he's got a chance to shine. He shined last year, but he's got even more of a chance to shine this year. He is a quality pitcher.
On 1-2 Uribe, who is 1 for 3. Larry Walker on deck. A new center fielder's in the game for the Cardinals. A change up. And Uribe chased it. It's 0-2. Kerry Robinson, who pinch hit for Matt Morris, stays in the game to play center field. And Jim Edmonds has departed. So Kline is in Edmonds' 5th spot on the order. Oh, man. Did he ever throw him a strike? 2 men down, and here's an update with Brian Kenny.
Johnson pitching and power to recap for the Braves over the Phils. 7-2 the final. Sheffield and Castilla both with homers. Tom Glavine went 6 in the 3rd, gave up 2 runs. Braves get the win for the Mets over the Pirates. 6-2 the final there. Jay Payton with a homer. Edgardo Alfonzo trying to bounce back, was 3 for 4, and Al Leiter superb, went 6, gave up just 1 run. John, Tony?
Thanks, Brian. Brian Kenny keeping us updated all through the day on everything that's been going on in baseball. Larry Walker fouled the ball and lost the bat. Both ball and bat ended up back in the backstop. 1-1 to Walker, who has hit into a double play, singled and scored a run and walked. Both bullpens are busy. In the Cardinal bullpen, Dave Veers and Mike Timlin are warming up. Veers was the closer last year. Timlin's been a closer in his career. Pretty deep and experienced bullpen. That's a base hit for Larry Walker. I mean, Walker, and you pointed it out, Tony, he hits at Coors Field, but he also hits away from Coors Field. He hits right-handers and he hits left-handers.
Yeah, it doesn't matter with these 2 guys, Walker and Hilton. And this is a nice swing. Just throwing him a breaking ball that he fouled off, and this one he just stays back and lines it right back to where it came from, right back up the middle. Just a nice short stroke.
Todd Helton. It is 0-1. Helton has grounded to second, single to right, and fly to shallow right. That is Veers just throwing, and now Timlin throws one out there. Timlin, number 50. In the Cardinals bullpen. The Rockies also have activity going on in their bullpen. 0-2 to Todd Helton. The Colorado closer, José Jimenez, is warming up in the left field bullpen. Helton with that 2-strike swing loops a single into center field. Now that was, I like to call that the Tony Gwynn swing.
Well, that's good hitting, you know, and it completely fooled. He fooled on the first breaking ball he swung at. Gets this ball up in the zone and just kind of throws his bat at it and gets the base hit. And these kind of hits happen to good hitters. And just a breaking ball, he's fooled. He just stays back on it nice, just kind of lays the barrel out there and gets the base hit. And now Kline's probably not happy right now. He made 3 good pitches and he still ends up giving up a base hit. But sometimes that's what good hitters do.
Now Todd ZEILE, fastball over the outside for a strike. Well, you know, Todd Helton is a much different hitter than you were. On the other hand, what was your career average? 338?
338.
338. I mean, Helton's career average is 334.
Helton's probably the active career leader now.
I would think so. I mean, you're definitely retired.
Definitely.
Okay. 0-2 to ZEILE. He's had an RBI. Into left center field. Into the alleyway. That one is headed back for the wall and will bounce up against the wall. Walker in to score. Helton will stop at third, and Todd ZEILE trying to resurrect his career with a new ball club has given some hopeful signs for the Rockies and their fans. He's driven in 2 runs today, hitting behind the big guys.
And that's exactly how they manufacture runs. It's you know, Walker singles, Helton 0-2 single, and Todd ZEILE gets a breaking ball out over the plate, just lines it in the gap to drive in a run and put 2 others in scoring position. Now, you know, if Klein hadn't done a great job at the beginning of this inning getting Pierre and Uribe, now all of a sudden this game could be in a position where it could be a lot tighter than just 8-2.
Here is Todd Hollandsworth, 0 for 3. Slider low and outside for ball 1. Hollandsworth, he was one of the toughest outs in the league last year until he got hurt. He was hitting 368, having played 33 games. Helton at third, ZEILE at second. A base hit could start to make it interesting. Well, he laid off that first slider, swung at this one, didn't get it. 1 ball, 1 strike. I'd say laying off it is the better strategy at this point.
Make him throw it for a strike. You make him throw it for a strike, you know, then maybe if he does throw it for a strike, then you're going to have to hit it. But if he doesn't, maybe you'll get something else.
All right, so he took your advice on that one. Now the catcher, DIFELICE, runs out to talk to Steve Klein. Klein giving up 3 straight hits here. Now last year in 75 innings he only allowed 53 hits. So I would guess there weren't too many situations where he gave up 3 straight hits.
I would guess there's not too many situations where he's going to come in to start an inning. Last year it seems to me like they brought him in to get a left-handed hitter out.
2-2.
Now granted, the 2 left-handed hitters that we've seen, or the 3 in this inning, Pierre, Walker, and Helton, are unlike a lot of left-handed hitters. They hit lefties pretty well. But Klein is he's one of the better relievers in my mind.
That's back to the screen. Now Helton last year, not Helton, Hollandsworth, I beg your pardon. I was talking about how he hit so well, but most of that was against right-handed pitching. They platooned him. He only had 19 at bats against lefties all year, and he hit only 158.
Right.
That is just foul. Past Dallas Williams, the first base coach. 2 balls, 2 strikes to count. We're in the top of the 8th inning. There's Dallas, who played in the longest game ever played in the history of professional baseball, a 33-inning minor league game in the International League. Pawtucket versus Rochester, 1981. There's Rich Donnelly, the third base coach for the Rockies. 2-2 the count. Ooh. And the slider for the strikeout. 8-2 Cardinals. Drew, then Pujols coming up. Now to the last of the 8th inning from St. Louis. 8-2. The Cardinals are leading the Rockies. We had a pretty intriguing matchup. Matt Morris starting, the 22-game winner. Hampton, the longtime Cardinal nemesis for the Rockies. But in the 4th inning, Albert Pujols with a bases-loaded double, and that broke it open. It had been 2-1. He cleaned off the bases to make it 5-1, and then the completion of a 4-run inning, and that single by Renteria. The next inning, DIFELICE added to it with the game's only home run. It was quite a shot. 415 feet was the estimate, clearing the bullpen in left. And it's been all Cardinals ever since. They lead 8-2, and here is José Jiménez. The Rockies closer, a former Cardinal, came up in the Cardinal system and blossomed finally in the Rocky Mountains as he faces J.D. Drew, a count of 0-1. Drew lunged at one. He got fooled in that off-speed pitch. And ZEILE in foul ground. 1 away. Drew is now 1 for 4 with a walk. Jimenez, no, he's not in the classic mold of a closer.
4-pitch pitcher. Sinker, slider, your straight four-seamer, and a change, which that last pitch to Drew was. You know, not your typical closer stuff, but he knows how to work both halves of the plate. He throws strikes, and sometimes he's going to get hit sometimes, but for the most part, he does a nice job of changing the plane, changing speeds.
Here's Albert Pujols. It's the first game of his second year, and he's had 2 doubles, 3 RBIs, and 2 runs scored.
Hardly missed a beat, huh?
And that slider's in there for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Do you like Jimenez as a closer for the Rockies and in that ballpark?
I do, because you know he's a guy you can never just go up there and sit on one pitch. You know, he'll run the fastball in, he'll cut it away from you. He'll throw you a little sinker, a little slider.
You agree with the notion that it's, if you get guys who throw a lot of ground balls, you're better off in Denver?
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you have to keep the ball down, but you have to remember that a lot of balls aren't going to break the same way in Denver as they do somewhere else.
So it's not just the kind of stuff you have at sea level.
Right.
It's how's it going to play at 5,000 feet.
Yeah, because it's different. It's a lot different. You're breaking balls like Matt Morris' breaking ball today. I don't know if it would have that same type of break in Denver as it does here at St. Louis.
We might have hardly ever seen him throw a curveball had this game been in Denver. Been more fastball changeup. Ball 4 to Pujols. So he's aboard with 1 out. And a pinch hit is going to come up now. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. And don't forget, MLB.com is your place for everything Major League Baseball. Log on right now for updated scores, live audio and video, official fantasy games, and comprehensive stats and information you can't get anywhere else. MLB.com. Here is Eli Marrero on the third base line, and ZEILE can't handle it. Pujols is heading for third, and he'll make it there. Holding it first is Marrero. The throw comes in from Hollandsworth, and the early returns on moving ZEILE to third, not good. And now an update from Brian Kenny.
John, good pitching matchup here in the Mariners and White Sox. Mark Buehrle and Freddie Garcia. A 1-0 ball game. Sandy Alomar is going to change that. Drives that down the line. 1 run will score. 2 runs will score. 2-1. White Sox have the lead now in the bottom of the 6th.
A lot of people think the White Sox, it's their year to win the Central Division of the American League again. They really put on a show in the Cactus League. They hit .350 as a team in the Cactus League.
Well, that's not that hard to do in spring training in Arizona.
.350. I'm not talking whether Tony Gwynn could hit .350 in the Cactus. I'm talking about a whole team hitting .350.
I understand that, but believe me, in Arizona, it's not that hard. But you know, the thing is, I think everybody, you know, affiliated with that club is excited about the type of club that they're throwing out there on a daily basis.
Yeah, well, in the spring training, it was like they threw out a whole club of Tony Gwynns.
Well, you know, Frank Thomas and Kenny Lofton. They've got a.
And they were stealing bases.
Absolutely, and that's why I think they're really, people are kind of excited about that ball club, because it's a different style of club than it's been before.
On the other hand, they gave up more runs than they scored in the Cactus League.
That's the other problem that they're worried about, is their pitching. Like a lot of teams.
Renteria, the count of 2-1. Runners at first and third, 1 out. Jimenez in trouble here, trailing 8-2. Middle infield, double play depth. Renteria drove in a run with a double back in the 4th inning. He was hit by a pitch his last time. Pujols at third. Marrero at first. He got credit for a hit. That's up the middle, base hit. Well, wouldn't that be something if Renteria bounced back? I mean, he was the best hitting shortstop in the league there at one point. 9-2 Cardinals.
Yeah, he's in my mind, he's always been one of those really solid shortstops, and especially in this kind of situation where guys are in scoring position, You know, remember him getting a base hit in the World Series for the Marlins a few years ago, but you know, he's been that type of hitter, even though he hadn't been able to put it together for a whole solid year since he's been here in St. Louis. And he's had a good spring, and maybe he'll get off to a good start today. He's already had a couple of knocks. So
he won that World Series.
Absolutely.
In Game 7 with a base hit. That is a called strike to Tino Martinez. Tino, in his first game for the Cardinals, has walked, was robbed of a hit on a diving catch by Juan Pierre in center, grounded out to third, and then hit a sacrifice fly to right center in the 6th inning. So he's 0 for 2 officially with an RBI. Looking for that first hit. Too low, 1 ball and 1 strike. Tino was very close friends with Derek Jeter. And when Jason Giambi was signed, I remember reading a quote. They asked Jeter about that, and he said, well, I really don't want to comment. Let's face it, I mean, Tino's he's my best friend. And that's low for a ball, 2-1. And you know, Jeter was never going to say anything against Jason Giambi, but at the same time, he was very loyal to his good friend. And I think one thing you can't dispute, I mean, the Yankees, they went to 5 World Series in 6 years with Tino Martinez as their first baseman.
Yes, they did.
2-1 the count. Up the middle, and Tino's got his first Cardinals base hit. And this will be his second RBI. Marrero scores, and it is 10-2.
And I think even though the Yankees get a great player in Jason Giambi, some of the intangibles that Tino Martinez brings to the table here for the Cardinals are going to be welcomed here. You know, when you lose a Mark McGwire, somebody's got to step in and kind of lead the way, and going to 4 World Series and 6 or 5 World Series and winning 4 of them. He brings a lot to the table for this ball club.
As a Yankee, you see his numbers. I mean, an average season for him in New York was close to 30 home runs and over 100 RBIs. Cardinals have had 6 hits and 13 at-bats today as a team with runners in scoring position. They put 10 runs on the board. They only had 1 home run, and that was a solo.
You're going to do some hitting. That's when you want to do it. When you got guys in scoring position and you can get hits, you break games open like they did in this game. If you remember the inning where they scored the 4, it started with 2 outs.
DIFELICE, who has that home run, that was back in the 5th inning. In the count, 1 ball, 1 strike. So Buddy Bell put his closer in, Jimenez, in a spot just to get some work in with no game scheduled tomorrow. And his closer's getting knocked around out here. DIFELICE, an RBI single in the 2nd, popped to short in the 4th, homer to the 5th, flied out to left in the 6th. Off the fist, right back to Jimenez. His only play is the 1st. The ball was hit very softly. Renteria to 3rd, Martinez over to 2nd. And let's go back to Brian Kenny.
John Scott Erickson getting his first win since July of 2000. And Jason Giambi, first game with the Yankees, 1 for 4. This will close it out. Last year, Roger Clemens went at least 5 innings in every single start. Went 4 1/3 here today. Gave up 8 runs, and the Yanks dropped opening day. John, Tony.
Wow. Threw 111 pitches in 4 1/3 innings. So Clemens with a remarkably poor game for him. Pedro Martinez, same thing up at Fenway. Mike Hampton here for the Rockies.
I think sometimes you have to remind yourself there's so much, you know, sometimes we put so much into these first games of the season that it's just one game. If you get beat big or you win big, it's just one game, and it's not the end of the season.
All right, so I agree with you. Although, just kind of sad to see the Yankees, you know, falling so far so fast. So who do you think will win that division?
Exactly. That's what people start asking.
Looks like the Blue Jays' year.
Yep.
Or maybe Baltimore. They beat them 10-3.
Well, Boston scored 11 runs today too. Now, don't forget about them.
Well, I agree with you though. If Boston scores 11 every day, then they'll win the division.
Oh yeah. And that's the great thing about early baseball is that everybody everybody's enthusiastic about their own particular clubs.
Terry Robinson over to Helton. Helton, Gold Glover, waves off Jimenez and gets the unassisted put out. But 2 more runs for the Cardinals. 10-2 St. Louis. We go to the 9th. Now to the 9th inning, the Cardinals with a 10-2 lead over the Colorado Rockies. The Cardinals, many feel, are the team to beat, not just in the National League Central, but in the National League period. And they've given no indication otherwise here today. Coming up right after the game, stay tuned for Sports Center. Kenny Mayne with Trey Wingo and Chris McKendry. Top 10 opening day moments coming up. Terps and Hoosiers, a preview. And the best team ever, UConn maybe, the women's game. They get my vote.
Mine too.
Jason Isringhausen, the new pitcher. And there's Eli Marrero staying in to play center field. They kept 3 catchers to open the year. One of them can play center field. Here's Isringhausen. Hard slider. And Ortiz quickly in an 0-2 hole. Isringhausen with the Athletics last year. 34 saves, although he had 9 blown saves. Overhand curveball got him looking. Well, they thought they were done with those big curveballs when Morris left the game.
Well, first you had Matt Morris, now you have Jason Isringhausen, and this, he calls it his spike curve. From a hitter standpoint, I call it a knuckle curve because it breaks quick. And he just dropped it on Ortiz there and just could not pull the trigger on it. I mean, it's a quick breaking ball.
Spike curve, that's got I think it's got marketing potential.
Yeah.
If he has a big year. Here is Bennett, slider in the dirt for ball 1. Now, I mentioned the 9 blown saves for Isringhausen, but he had a problem in the summer where his mechanics got fouled up. His motion was not quite right, and his pitchers weren't doing what they were supposed to do. He got that worked out with his pitching coach, Rick Peterson, and he had a great finish, just as did the Athletics as a team. And a fastball, look at that, 96 miles per hour.
There's no question, he's a power pitcher. And he just rears back, and that ball cut right at the end too. 96 mile per hour cutter.
Oh. Well, he didn't handle the first one, so he gave it to him again. He's still not handling it.
He's ahead of the count here. He can throw him pretty much anything he wants to here. He can throw him a fastball in. He could throw a fastball away. He could throw the spike curveball.
Is that the spike?
That's the spike.
Okay. The high spike curveball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, Bennett, if he watched our game Sunday night with Bartolo Colon in Anaheim, may have thought Colon just came in here. Fouled right back toward us. I started to move out of the way, and Tony hit the deck.
It's been a while.
You okay?
I'm all right.
All right.
Wipe the dirt off me.
Okay, yeah. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Bennett. Cardinals' new closer, Jason Isringhausen. Past the mound, and there's Renteria. 2 men gone. 10-2 St. Louis. And Tony, you might say, well, Isringhausen 10-2, what's the point? But I would think with a new guy in a new town, maybe just getting him on the mound for that first time would be important.
Absolutely. And I think once the game kind of got out of hand, that's what LaRussa wanted to do. He wanted to get Klein in there. Now he's getting Isringhausen in there a chance to close out a game. This is what he's going to be doing as the season goes along. And he's been impressive so far.
Greg Norton, the pinch hitter, and a fastball, a strike. So what do you think? The Cardinals, it's just the one game, but they look pretty solid.
They do. They look solid. I like their everyday lineup. I like their bullpen.
Curveball in the dirt.
I like the fact that you know, they found a way to get Polanco back in there at third base and keep him at the top of the lineup, because with him and VINA, that gives the middle of their order a chance to do some damage. So
won't be easy in the Central. And the Cubs look to be a pretty good club. Houston should be strong. Some excellent young pitching in that Astros ball club.
Absolutely. And I mean, this division, the Central Division, the Cubs have got good pitching too, and they've got a kid down there, and I think it's AA named Pryor, who's I think is going to be a great one.
Mark Pryor, I saw him this spring. He's impressive. Oh man, what was that?
That's not fair, is what that was.
Is that a splitter? Man, is that legal?
I guess so.
2-2 with 2 down in the 9th inning. Called the ball. 3-2 the count. DIFELICE missed it. He chased after just in case they call it a strike. 3-2 the count.
He's laughing about it too. I guess he realized that everybody knew what he thought. He thought it was a strike. He wanted to make sure.
Well, you know, if he caught it, he might have gotten a strike call.
Yeah, you're right.
3-2 the count. 2 down. Isringhausen trying to give him the big finish. And he walked it. The fans are outraged at the umpire. So here is Juan Pierre. No game tomorrow. Jason Isringhausen. This guy was one of those young Mets pitchers that came along. Paul Wilson, Bill Pulsipher. Thought they were going to be the 3 stars of the rotation for years to come. They all ended up having injury problems. It is 0-1. Pierre has not been on base today. I mean, they really need him to get on base. Walker and Helton had 2 hits apiece.
Right.
And without Pierre or Uribe getting on base in front of him, they were always hitting with the bases empty.
Right.
That's foul. 0-2 the count.
And it's going to happen. You know, it's like I said, you don't want to put so much pressure on yourself in the first game. You know, Pierre's going to hit. We know Walker and Hilton. We know what they're going to do.
Did you ever not get a hit on opening day?
Oh, I was terrible on opening day.
Really?
Yeah.
That was your worst day?
That was usually my worst day.
So what, you only hit about 330 on opening days?
Probably 280.
Oh, that bad. Pierre strikes out, the toughest man in the league to strike out last year. He strikes out for the 2nd time today, and the 2002 season is underway for the Cardinals. It starts out beautifully. A 10-2 win. Matt Morris, the 22-game winner, has #1 already this year. Tino Martinez picked up his first 2 RBIs in his first game with the Cardinals. And for the Rockies, back to the drawing board. Final score 10-2. The Cardinals win it. Stay tuned for SportsCenter coming up next. And for Tony Gwynn, great job, Tony. Really enjoyed it. We'll be looking for you all year long on ESPN. I'm John Miller. Thanks for tuning in. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.